Hello, lovelies. It's cooking time. That's exactly right. It is cooking time. It's time for us to cook. And you know what that means? It's time to pull out the chili recipe. You gotta have chili. You just have to have chili. Chili is a really good thing, especially getting ready now on a Thursday and having it for the weekend. This is assuming you aren't living in a cocoon bubble of pandemic like everybody else, but you know, it's a good recipe for the family for the weekend. I'm going to show you how to make it using two jaw-dropping ingredients, or head-scratching as Mark says. I'll show you what the ingredients are. One is some frozen cauli rice. That's right, cauli rice. And the other one is pumpkin puree. That's right, pumpkin puree. The reason that we do this, we're adding a little fiber and we're adding a whole bunch of nutrition, and it's going to get lost here in the chili. Nobody's going to know that it's there. So let's start with adding some avocado oil. That's what we keep in this little guy. Don't tell the olive oil makers that I've done that. But that's what we do, and we're going to let that get a little bit warm. Tomorrow at noon, if you are a fan of fresh pressed olive oil, the Fresh Pressed Olive Oil, of course, has a page here on Facebook. I am going to be cooking for them live. Actually, not cooking. I'm going to be making my salad dressing, the hot melt salad dressing for them on their page at noon Eastern. So check it out. That's tomorrow. Anyway, we want this to get nice and hot. When you pour oil into the bottom of your pan, you want your pan, well, first of all, we let the pan get a little warm first, then you put in the oil. This is what they say. Sometimes I'll just have a cold pan and I'll put the oil in the cold pan and we'll just go from there. But whatever, you want the oil nice and hot and shimmering, not smoking, okay? That's why we use avocado oil, because it has about a 500-degree smoke point, which is fantastic. We're gonna put let's see if we got some sizzle. Do a sizzle test. Listen for it. Do you hear it? Do you hear it? Yes. There it is. Sizzle test. So we're using one medium-sized onion right now. And what we're going to do is just get this whole party started and let it get translucent, okay? That's what we're going to do first. The second thing that we're going to do, we got ground beef to go with this. This is 1 pound of grass-fed ground beef from our friends at ButcherBox. So you can find them on my Leanne Recommends page on Saving Dinner. We love them. They have quality stuff, and those guys have been backed up. So I don't know if they even have anything available, but it's a really good company to work with, and I love them. So we've got the onions cooking. We're going to wait until they get nice and translucent. Give them a quick stir. Give it another minute, and then we're going to add the ground beef. I'm also going to use what I have on hand. And you know, with the juice and everything, that's called fava, by the way, and which is really good. It's like a prebiotic for your gut. Who knew? So we're going to put the beans in there. I've got pinto beans. Any beans will work. Any beans. Nobody cares. I'm going to use half a can of pumpkin puree. Now here's the important part. Do not add pumpkin pie filling, because pumpkin pie filling has more than just pumpkin in it. You want it to be 100% pumpkin puree. Now, you won't even taste this pumpkin, and it will not even change the color of it. You're only going to use a little bit of it, but it will bump up your beta-carotene like crazy, which is a good thing. Beta-carotene is a precursor for vitamin A, and it's an antioxidant. So, yay, antioxidants. We're also going to add some little diced jalapenos that we happen to have, not the entire can, because we want to have mercy on our poor souls here. I have a little Italian seasoning here simply because I'm out of oregano. Oregano is what I usually put in there.
No, we're not.
So we're going to, it's fine. So we're going to use that. We're also going to add a little chipotle juice from my chipotle chilies, because the smoky flavor of that is really delicious and good, but super hot too, so we have to go careful on that. Garlic. What can I say? Garlic, garlic, garlic. Is there any such thing as too much garlic? I say no. We have tomato puree in here because all I have was peeled plumbed tomatoes. Is that gonna stop me? Heck no, I just put it in the blender. It's just that easy. Now, you can use a prepared taco mix if you want, which works really well, and just add more chili powder. You can add some more, smoked paprika, that kind of thing, a little extra cumin, but this works really well. However, I just wanted to show you that that's an option. I'm gonna be using garlic powder, onion salt, chili powder, cumin, some red chili flakes, but I'm gonna go easy because I have other hot things in there. And of course, my friend, salt and pepper. Always good salt, always good pepper, freshly ground. Ta-da! Okay, so let's make this thing. What do you say? Move all this stuff out so we can get busy. Get that garlic going. The onions are looking lovely. And they're ready for their friend, Mr. Ground Beef. In it goes. I'm going to use this. This is my favorite instrument for getting it all mushed up. And remember, you want to get it nice and mushed up while you're cooking it when you're first browning it. Now, this is the first salting and peppering. And again, salt it. Make sure you cover all the top of it. And pepper. At this point, I'm going to add a little garlic powder because I want the flavor to cook into the ground beef. You are going to see a lot of recipes where they take the ground beef and they just have you ground it up without even the benefit of salt and pepper. And I think it's a big flavor mistake because what you're doing is building in layers of flavor. And I promise you, once you start seasoning your ground beef, you'll never not do it again, even if the recipe doesn't call for it. It's one of my secrets. Now I'm going to give it another munch here. There we go. And let that go ahead and cook. And then I'm going to prepare my garlic. And I'm doing this on camera for you simply because I find it so entertaining. There's nothing like a little garlic rocker. Am I right? Everybody loves a garlic rocker. Look, they're all garlic rocking with me. You know you are. Come on, my friend. Plus, it's really good for getting out a little bit of tension because you have to put everything you've got into it and it just feels so good afterwards. Oh, yeah. That was good for me. All right, now we're going to add the garlic to the equation, including the stuff on the back. Somebody's going to get a mouthful at some point. And then give it a nice stir. You notice how I didn't add it in to be browned with the onion. And even though I even have recipes in probably all of my cookbooks and even online and what have you, where you add the garlic in with the onions, my new recommendation is to not do that because it browns. When it browns, you know what happens? Does anyone? Bueller? Anyone? What happens? It gets bitter, you guys. Bitter's terrible. So there goes the Italian seasoning. Now I'm just going to start adding stuff. Willy-nilly, as they say. Now, what I will tell you too is I'm going to add a nice tablespoon. Yeah, those are hot. That's enough. I'm going to add a nice tablespoon of the chilies that are already, the jalapenos, which are already in. Yeah, it does add a nice little dimension there, doesn't it? Yeah, that's the ticket. I'm also going to go in here and get some of that jalapeno juice. Fresh spoon always. Jalapeno? I mean, whatever. What is this? Chipotle chili juice. Now, you can see these. These are whole chilies. They come in a can. They're chipotle chilies. And once you open it, you never use a whole can. They're tiny cans. Really, a little bit bigger than the jalapeno pepper can, but they're huge chilies that are inside there. Look at that. You never want to use this much chili. You will die. You will die a slow, agonizing death. So what I do instead is, because the smokiness and the flavor of this is just really lovely, I will grab a couple of tablespoons of this and put it in. And someday I'll make you chicken tinga. That was such a delicious recipe. Oh yeah, nice and smoky. Okay, that one's done. You see what I'm doing? This is my mise en place. This is my offload mise en place over here. And then I'll just take everything out and it'll be over with. So I have all of that, and now I'm going to add the rest of my seasonings. I'm going to come back. I will double check my seasonings. You keep tasting it in spurts. And the other thing is, chili, if you're going to make a good batch of chili, make it one day and let it sit for a whole day without doing anything to it. Obviously in the refrigerator, then reheat it. But this is one of those times where the longer it goes, the better the flavor, because those flavors need to meld. I am not adding that much chili, probably less than a quarter of a teaspoon, probably an eighth of a teaspoon. I'm just adding it because it's one more layer of flavor and dimension for this. But I think we've done just a good job on all the hotness, because we've added quite a bit of hotness. All right, now at this point, I am going to add just a bit of onion salt. I don't really like onion salt per se, but this one is excellent. This is from Trader Joe's, and they've knocked their socks off on this one. They have quite a few onions in there with just a touch of salt, so it's not overpowering. Otherwise, I usually go for things like onion powder, okay? Let me just add a little bit of that too. Why not?
Because you already did.
Huh?
You already did.
I know, I'm adding more. Welcome to my world, love. Okay, this is chili powder, and that's probably about, actually we're gonna add the whole thing, because that's about a tablespoon and a half, which is pretty much what we need. We also need cumin, and we're gonna add about a teaspoon, so to speak. Is there anything else over here? No, I guess that's it. So those are your seasonings for right now. Oh yeah, the smelling. Oh, hello. And in goes the tomato. Yummy. And I can always go back, if I don't have enough tomato, I can always go back and add more. Super easy. Cauli rice. Why not? And now, and this is the can of tomatoes. Did I show this already? Oh, okay. I don't know. I just work here. I don't know anything. Okay, so here is the beans. Beans from the grocery outlet. Love the grocery outlet. I love pinto beans and chili, but red beans work well, white beans even. I've done everything. I've even added garbanzo beans when I've been desperate. There we go, right out of the can. Of course, if you have your own dried beans, you want to make them up, do that. But here you go. We've got chili, people. I thought I just slopped myself. Wouldn't surprise me. Okay. The other thing is, you could add like a can of diced tomato at this point, so you get the chunks of tomato in here. I don't know. We shall see. Let's get that pumpkin going. And one more cleans. I'm not going to add the whole thing. If I had a bigger pot, I would. But you know, what you do with this, again, is just freeze it and use it the next time. Make sure that you mark with a Sharpie on your freezer-proof bag what it is and the date that you did it, so you know what you've got. Beta-carotene to the rescue. Calling all beta-carotene. Come on down. Look at that, people. Hey, we got us some chili going here. And I don't know if I'd call it chili con carne or chili con cauliflower and pumpkin.
All three.
All three. But we're not touching this until the weekend because I want all the flavors to meld, and I'll come back and give it a test. But I'm gonna let it simmer on the stovetop for a couple of minutes. And you know what my next thing is, of course. Serve this with a nice big green salad. The darker the green, the more the nutrition. And the more nutrition, well, the better it is for you. We start the sprint on Monday. This is for those of you who have had just enough quarantine, and maybe you've got an extra few pounds from quarantine. Haven't we baked enough? I think it's time. So if you will go to savingdinner.com, you will see the sprint right there on the front page. If you click it, you'll get all the information about it. You'll be invited into the Facebook group. And let me just tell you right now, it is free, 100% free. There is no cost for that.
Half a can.
Half a can, yes, half a can of the pumpkin is all I added. So I'm gonna recap the recipe for you really quick. I had a whole 28 ounce, nope.
It's 35.
35 ounce can. 35 ounce can of whole plum tomatoes that I just whirred up in here. I also had some leftover tomato and garlic that I had roasted from a few weeks back and thrown in the freezer. I added that. So I go back into my freezer oftentimes and add things that are little bits and pieces of whatever I have left. Nothing goes to waste. We use everything around here. I added a whole thing of cauliflower rice. And I don't know, I'm gonna say that's probably about 6 ounces, would you say? 8 ounces of cauli rice?
And probably
They're
more.
frozen, and we buy them at, Costco or wherever it is that we get them. But anyway, they're frozen cauli rice, and it's just a whole thing of it. And so I'm gonna say that it's a good 8 ounces, maybe even 12 ounces of cauliflower rice. It's just riced cauliflower, that's all it is. I also added 2 cans, these are 15 ounce cans, of pinto beans, along with their goo. The fava, I didn't throw that stuff out, I kept it. That adds, like I said, it's a nice prebiotic. Half a can of the pumpkin. I guess that's all of the things. And then I added some chipotle chili juice, I guess, from the can. That was 2 tablespoons of that. I added 1 tablespoon of jalapenos that were already chopped. And then I would say for the seasoning, I did 1.5 tablespoons of chili powder. I did about 1 teaspoon of onion salt, 1 teaspoon of garlic, of cumin, and a little bit of garlic powder to go with that, probably about 1/2 teaspoon. I also added 4 cloves of fresh garlic. That's it. It's that simple. And such a good thing, right? So if you like this recipe and you want to see more, well, you can go to savingdinner.com and become a Dinner Answers member. It's that simple. If you support us, it's $7 a month, and we will support you right back with dinner plans absolutely every Tuesday. If you eat real food, you will find the plan that's just right for you. Doesn't matter how you eat, just as long as it's real food. And the other thing that I would say is share this video. You've got friends out there who don't know how to make chili. Why don't you show them how, and show them how to do it with some good stuff. That's all I've got for you today. I will see you tomorrow. Peace out. Share this video. It smells